Apologies for going a few days without videos, folks. Computer issues sorted-ish. I've moved my gaming PC out of the house into the garage. Anna's not very happy. This isn't a long-term solution, but at least we can record some videos today. And those videos that we record are going to be the end of Non-League to Legend / Expedition for Gold. We're at the World Cup with England. We either finish in a blaze of glory winning the World Cup, or it all kind of just stops. Hello and welcome to part one of the World Cup bit of the Expedition of Gold. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode we're going to meet the England squad that I have selected, and we're also going to play our first group game, which is against Saudi Arabia. The other teams in our group are Scotland and Nigeria, so I'd like to think in our capacity as the best team in the world that we should at least be able to make our way out of our group stage. If you recall, we are reigning Euros champions, we're reigning Confederation Cup champions, and we are ranked, as previously mentioned, as the best team in the world. There we go. If we have a look at the world rankings, we're the best team in the world by miles. I don't quite know how these points are allocated, but that gap is so much bigger than any other gap on the screen. I suggest we might even be able to not win the World Cup and still be the best team in the world after it, and thus call ourselves world champions anyway. So regardless of what happens, we're going to retire as world champions, age 60, because I'm 59 at the moment. My 60th birthday will take place on the 10th of July 2042, and by that point hopefully we should be just preparing for a World Cup final, and what a way to end that would be. So it's all getting a bit exciting. And also, for those of you who were following the MLS bit, Columbus didn't sign any players at all other than the ones I got in the draft, and are having a much better season. This is one of the reasons why I'm stopping this series. I just can't do it. It breaks me. So anyway, let's meet the squad. Most of these are going to be familiar for anybody who has been around the Expedition of Gold over the last few years. Lots of familiar faces. We're not going to go through all 23 of them, but we are going to have a look at today's starting 11. And we'll meet some more players as we come through. So, firstly, and a big change from previous tournaments, well, I think he was our keeper for the Confederations Cup last summer. Mark Coote is a 22-year-old who apparently has just signed for Tottenham. He wasn't Tottenham's goalkeeper, and I selected him for the squad. That might spell the end of poor old Igor. But he's just joined Tottenham for £34 million. That's a Tottenham team that have just won the Champions League again, by the way. Their third Champions League win in 5 years, their first without me at the helm. So the likes of Mark Coote and Wells and Burgess are going to come rather happy. They played Stoke in the final of the Champions League as well, so Stoke making it to the Champions League final for the second year in a row. My Atletico team destroying them last year, and now Spurs, my former team, wrecking their hopes this year. It's all got to the point where Carl Colwell, who we know, our former England captain, been at Stoke his entire career, he's actually handed in a transfer request at Stoke now, presumably because enough is enough. Age 30, he's never really won anything. In fact, has he won anything at all? He's lifted the... apart from with England, he's not won anything at club level at all, despite the fact that Stoke, throughout his career, have been a top Champions League club. They can't quite win the Premier League. They can't quite win the Champions League. And it's Atletico who are in for him, so he could, at the age of 30, be making the move from the Premier League over to Atletico. He should get to his 100th cap for England during this World Cup as well. So, pretty solid at right back. Centre-back has probably been our biggest area of difficulty, which is different from how it's been in previous years, but some of the guys we have been using have been getting on a bit. Jamie Murray, who we thought was the answer, we've been playing him regularly for 2 years now. He's got 29 England caps at the age of 21. We thought he was an absolute superstar when Chelsea came in, paid £30 million for him. He was their first choice for a year. All that's changed since our Confederations Cup win last summer, when he was our starting centre-back, because he's not played for Chelsea this year. He's started 2 league games for Chelsea all year. I looked, he hasn't been injured. He had a bit of a cold in February, but that's it. They're just not selecting him. So he's barely played any football since the Confederations Cup last summer, but I just don't see how we drop him just because Chelsea did. He was excellent for us last year. We're certainly going to start with him in the team. And I like the fact that he can play anywhere up the middle of this team. So if we need to move him around into midfield or even up front as the games go on, we can do that. And he's going to be partnering Kieran Ehiog, who was He's the last one, really, of my Tottenham youth team to make it through to this level. I always thought it'd be Khalid Francis, who hasn't really made it. I think he's left Tottenham now. He's going to be forever the one that got away. There you go, age 25. He's at Norwich now and starting to rebuild a bit of a Premier League career, but nowhere near as good as I hoped he would be. Ehiog was the next one through on the production line. He's 22. 12 England caps now. He's been a regular starter for England for the last year alongside Murray. He's been playing regularly for Spurs for the last couple of years. He's just lifted the Champions League, so he's going to be a little bit giddy and happy. Chris Carter is a lad who I gave his England debut to. If I can actually click on him, Chris Carter, there we go. I gave him his England debut and he's got 43 caps now. That shows how long I've been England manager for. I think he was at Newcastle before. No, he wasn't. He's always been at Liverpool. But a regular at Liverpool for a long time. Regular for England for a long time. It's the first name on the team sheet. Both our fullbacks, I think, are very, very good. Midfield. James Burgess obviously was always going to be in the team. He's our captain, 64 caps after we spent all that money to bring him in at Spurs all those years ago, converted him to a midfielder. He's the best midfield player in the world. He's our captain. He's also injured, or just recovering from injury anyway. He's missed like the last month of the season with a hamstring injury, hasn't played since April, but obviously we need to get him in our team and play him. He even missed out on our pre-World Cup friendlies because he was still injured for those. So might take a little bit of time for Burgess to get back into form, but if we have a look at the form he was in over his last 5 games, hopefully it won't take him too long to get back to that kind of level. Jake Weston, who does Jake Weston play for? Chelsea. Little bit of a risk because he's kind of emerged on the scene at Chelsea this season. He's kind of like the reverse Murray. I wonder even if Chelsea were playing Murray in midfield and have just swapped them over and put Weston in there this year, in which case me picking Murray at centre-back is even sillier. But he's only got 5 England caps, but he's young, he's valued at £30 million. We needed a proper central midfield player. We've had issues with central midfielders in previous squads, and I like Jake Weston. I think he's going to play a lot of games for us and be very good. And then Mark Osai, who's been our attacking midfield player for a long, long time, pretty much my whole reign with England, he's dropping back into the normal midfield because of this guy, Lewis King. We'll look at him in a minute. He's emerged over the last year and he's almost as good as Liam Wells. Lewis Wells, who's he? As you can see on there, he's just exploded onto the scene. But Osai has never let us down, so we get him in the team. He's doing quite well now. He's at Monaco. He always struggled to be spectacular at Arsenal, but he's gone to France and torn the French league apart, averaging a 7.55. So even though he's not our best attacking midfielder anymore, apologies for shrinking the screen there. Not used to the extra real estate I've got on this screen. Where did we get to? Lewis King. There you go. We were going to show you Lewis King because Lewis King is a bit special. He's only 22. Wow. Okay, he was at Man United, and that is the most spectacular transfer I've ever seen because he's been a Man United superstar this season, and it's been good over the last few years. I probably should have noticed him a little bit sooner, to be fair, but Southampton have paid £89 million for him. I don't understand. That's a step down. And how have they got that money? Transfer history. Where did that money come from, Southampton? They've spent £200 million this season. Wowzers. Okay, so Lewis King is now a Southampton player. Okay. He was a Man United superstar and he's got... I don't understand. Age 22. But we've played him in every game pretty much this season. He's got 6 goals in 9 games from midfield. 4.5-star current ability. That is as good as Liam Wells, and he's younger. We've got a proper star who's now gone to play for Southampton, not even in Europe. I don't understand at all. We all know Liam Wells. He doesn't need any introduction. He's 26 now. He's making it a little bit hard for him to break the all-time goal-scoring record with me as England manager because that record's held by Harry Kane. It's 65 goals. Wells now has 58 goals from 63 caps. He is the best striker in the world, although Ruben Iribarren might have something to say about that, but we won't worry about Iribarren at the moment. It's all about Liam Wells until we meet Spain in the final. It's Wells versus Iribarren round 3, but he's got to get 8 goals in this tournament to break the record with me as manager. He'll break the record eventually anyway. He's still only 26, but I'm retiring at the end of this tournament regardless, and I'd quite like him to do it with me in charge. And then he's going to be partnering Callum Bennett, who previously we've played in midfield. I think he played for us in midfield during the Confederations Cup last year, but he is actually a striker. He was playing there because we didn't have anyone else to play there. And as a striker, he's been pretty decent for Southampton for the last few years. Southampton are building a good team. Keep your eyes on Southampton when we do our 10 years in the future episode next week, because I'm expecting big things from them. And then as we hit the bench, there's some of the more familiar faces down there as well, who I imagine Samuel Sue will make it into the team throughout the tournament, even though I've been trying to retire him for 4 years. He's nearly 35. He's just still very, very good, but I want to try and do it without him. Plus, which of those three do you drop? You can't drop Burgess. Surely we can't drop Osai. And we need Weston in there to pretend to be a defensive midfielder, even though he's not. So that's our team. Let's go play Saudi Arabia and hopefully get off to a winning start. Now, because I don't normally play on this computer, I don't know if it's going to revert to our normal settings. I don't know if I've got the graphics packs on correctly either, so we might have to just have a little bit of a fiddle when it goes into the match. Here we go. Let's have a little bit of a fiddle. I don't remember how you put all that stuff on. I do it once a season. One moment. Right, I think that's everything we normally have on screen, and I've even moved the formation over here so that it doesn't get in the way of my head, or my head doesn't get in the way of it. So let's finally get into the game. And is that match speed, our normal match speed? Yeah. 2D classic, replays for goal. Yeah, that's all right. Don't need sounds on. Not got speakers plugged in, so that's not a big deal, but there we go. Right, let's go score a big pile of goals. We need to be very careful with James Burgess. We need to ease him back into this team. There you go. Lewis King, minute on the clock. The Southampton superstar. I warned you he was good, and that's just a very good finish. He's going to be the best player England have got for the next 10 years, which is a strange thing for me to say when Wells has still got another 5 years in him and Burgess has still got another 5 years in him, but this lad King, I don't even know how he's just suddenly appeared, but he's a bit all right. And that was Osai with the thwack into the bar, and King with a nice little finish. How do we make this stuff disappear for replays? That's what we normally have on. Auto, no, show, no, show, match info, no. Hide pitch windows during replays. That's the one we want. Excellent. Right, Wells now. Can he grab a goal? He can't. Come on, Liam. We need 3 goals today, and then we're on for this record. A nice couple of hat-tricks in the group stages. He wants it as well. Way back to get onto the ball. Osai with another shot. He wants to prove that he's still got a space in this team. I mean, other than the centre-backs, so we might move them around and try different ones if they don't really work as a combination. Osai probably is the player whose space in the starting lineup is most under threat, because he's got the likes of Sue breathing down his neck. Plus, there's other midfielders in the squad as well. It's not a typical auto-pick team where it's 3 midfielders and a load of wingers. I picked this squad, so there's plenty of options for us in central midfield. So it's not just going to be this midfield 3 all the way through and we don't have any options around, and we can change things around a little bit in midfield, up front, in our attacking midfield slot. We've got options. It's good. Options are good. Right. It's still only 1-0 after 34 minutes. I don't really know how good Saudi Arabia are. It's not anywhere we've spent any time over the course of this save or paid any attention to, really. I've not noticed any Saudi Arabian superstar players emerge in the Champions League or anything, so I would assume that they're not any good. But they seem to be giving us a little bit of a challenge, although Bennett now makes it 2-0. And it's all come from King winning the ball back in this final third. I don't know if there you go, we see the challenge. King wins it back, slots it to Liam Wells, who plays Bennett in, and it's just a nice little finish. I tell you what, the replays look prettier on this computer, don't they? I think Anna will notice if I just keep this out here forever and let her use my laptop that doesn't work. I'm probably not going to get away with that, am I? King makes it 3-0, and I mean, I want Wells to be in this kind of form. He's got a record to break. It's already starting to look like King is going to break the record himself one day. So whatever bar Wells sets, King is now absolutely working towards it. Obviously, he's going to be relying a little bit on whoever takes over from me continuing to play with an attacking midfielder, because I guess that'll be the one reason he doesn't go on to break all kinds of records for England, if they end up playing 4-4-2 or something where he just doesn't fit into that team, because you can't put him as a striker because you need Wells there. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see what happens to this England team after we're done with him. It's going to be quite an interesting thing to investigate when we do our 10 years in the future episode. Right, Weston's going to come off. We are going to bring on Sue because we just want to give him caps because he's got lots of them. I'm going to take off Liam Wells. I'm going to make it, just send a little message to Liam Wells to say it's not automatic that you're going to play every minute of every game, Liam. You need to be on form and just get a little shock to his system. Goodness me, I've just been substituted for England. This doesn't happen. And hopefully he'll come out for the Scotland game next, firing on all cylinders and start grabbing hat-tricks from there because we need hat-tricks from him. Take Asai off as well, bring on Brad Godfrey and just swap those two over because Godfrey's another player we've had around the squad for years. He's never been a first choice for us really, but we know he can just sit in that central midfield position and occupy it quite happily. King plays Godfrey in. Godfrey, he probably should have pulled a shot off there, but we've given Saudi Arabia the chance to attack on us and King's trying for his hat-trick. Bennett, can he get a cross in? He can't, but we've got a corner. There's no time left to take it, though. We've won 3-0 and should be, yeah, we are top of our group. 2 games left to play. Hopefully, there's not going to be any surprises and we just ease our way into the first knockout round. If you enjoyed that, please make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.